Storm Tracker 9 weather with Chief Meteorologist Justin Stapleton.
So it did turn out to be a fairly warm day today, even with the clouds this morning. Nice to see those back, at least in the morning. Certainly if you were out trying to get that early morning run, not to having to battle some of the sunshine. But that was all courtesy of an area of low pressure in the higher parts of the atmosphere. It's sort of being picked up on the visual satellite out there. Real hard to pick it up when they're pretty far up in the atmosphere. But I want to show you where it was and show you what sort of dynamics were in play, the reason why we saw some of the showers popping up this afternoon. So as the low continued to drift northward in through the state, we were getting a good south-southwesterly push and giving a little bit of extra uplift as the moisture being fed in off the ocean, runs into the mountains there, and just enough to kind of squeeze out whatever it could. Now, what you've been seeing most of the afternoon across the Storm Tracker 9 live radar sweep has been mainly just virga, and that's the stuff that doesn't make it to the ground, evaporates before it does, and even some of the thunderstorm potential with some of these that move up into the mountains, or what we call elevated thunderstorms, are mainly dry thunderstorms. Now, it's kind of a misleading term because it is still raining. It's just most of that's not making it to the ground, and the lightning strikes, which is the real concern for this, are still out there. Box Springs fires, we mentioned, over towards the northeastern end of the state. The only active fire we have across the state of Oregon right now. We'll have to watch to see any more lightning strikes. Had some in earlier this afternoon and late this morning in through southern Oregon. We'll check that again coming up at 6:30. Otherwise, most of the heavy precipitation, or what is likely making it to the ground, pushing up from Seattle as you go back off towards Spokane down to Boise as well. Late afternoon thunderstorms starting to fire. And that is partly because this is where the hot air is. Look at that, 100 degrees in Ontario. We had 96 out in Burns. All of this will slowly start to creep westward over the next 36 to around 48 hours. And so the temperatures today that were at least a little less than where we could have been up towards Portland in the low 90s, we're going to start adding a couple of degrees over the next couple of days. Right now, we've cooled off nicely pretty quickly down into the low 70s from Corvallis as you get down to Cottage Grove, where they sat around 88 this afternoon. 50s out to the coast, a couple of light showers trying to move on shore just north of Newport, and around 81 degrees in Roseburg and Bend. So here's the setup. Our first low will sort of get gobbled up by the second one here, and this one actually is going to stay pretty far offshore. So while the jet stream's to the south of us now, as we transition in towards the late week, we start to see that big hot high pressure moving back westward. That pushes the jet stream, or the jet stream pushes north, which allows that high to move back in, and that is what is going to influence our temperatures and likely warm things up pretty quickly as we get going to Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend as well. So do expect to see a chance for a few light thunderstorms this evening, mainly up into the mountains. I don't think we'll see much in the way of that by tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. Morning clouds and afternoon sun pretty much for the next 6 to 7 days at the coast. We'll see the temperatures hovering in the mid-60s next couple days, a little warmer as we get going into the weekend. Back to the upper 80s and low 90s down in the Roseburg area tomorrow, and most of the Umpqua Basin will also see a pretty toasty forecast for about the next 6 to 7 days. Cascade, sunny and warm. Temperatures will be in the mid-70s. We'll be looking at mid-80s. In Bend and Redmond, I don't think we'll see much of a thunderstorm threat, but it is going to be quite warm by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's forecast. And finally for the valley, around 84 to 85, so maybe even a degree or two cooler tomorrow, guys. But once we transition to getting that high pressure to move back in, watch the 90s start popping up on the board quickly, certainly by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday's forecast.
All right.
All righty.
Thanks for the warning.